Hello and welcome to cheekytek. In this video I'm going to show you how I make my little signal gantries. A lot of people ask me how do I make them, or where do I buy them, and what they're made of. So I thought this would be a great video to show you guys how I make them and what they're made of and how easy they are. You can buy brass ones. These are actually made of plastic, and this is a little one that I've made up. So we're going to make something very similar, and we're going to put some little tiny dwarf LEDs in it to sort of simulate the lights and show you how to make these. So and it's just then a case of mounting it to your layout. So what we'll do is we'll go down and we'll get all the tools we need and the materials, and I'll show you how to make one of these little signal gantries. Right, so this is what we're going to make. This is a replica. This is a spare one that I had, and this is as far as it's got. So we're going to make something like that. But before we go that far, you'll need some little LEDs and some Platicard. So these are little dwarf lights, and these ones are, I think these are green and red. And these ones are the Econ. These are a set of these, and these are just spare ones I had lying around. Now these are really good as well because you get lots of little components in here, and again these just pop off and you can pull them wires out, and you have these little heads, and then you've obviously got the fit in there, and if you're going to actually attach that underneath there, that will glue quite nicely onto there, and that was to be actually to start your signal, and then we can tuck the wires in. But we'll do that in a second. So that's the whole concept. We build it with Platicard, and then we're going to get our signals, and we're going to sort of drop them on however you want them. I think we'll only have 2 on this one. So discard the bits I don't want that. So again, I've only got a mixture of stuff. I haven't gone out and bought anything. These are just spares, and this stuff is very expensive, so just try and use up whatever you can. Now this is the trussing, and this is very expensive stuff. I think this works out at nearly just under a tenner for a pack of 2. I don't get many, so it is very expensive. I've got a lot of plastic rod in here, so I'm going to make a bespoke one, something a little different that I haven't made before. So let's just discard the wrappers, just to sort of show you guys how to make something. Right, so the first things first, how do you start? Where do you start from? That is a really good question. Now, I measure the track, how high I want it, and obviously I measure how far, I want it along. So do all your measurements, run a train underneath first, look at photographs. This one I think is 75, this one, and it's about 140. So 140 millimeters by 75 millimeters. So that's what the size this one is, and that's purely made for my layout. That's not what you have to make yours to, because obviously the width of my track, that's what it's got to fit to, and that's what this one was made to. So as opposed to making a new one, I'm going to make a small one, not to make it as big. So I'm just going to measure the width of a track, which my track is 75, so it's half of what that is. 75 is 140, so we'll make it half. And then I'm just going to cut that down. So I'm just going to put a tiny mark on it, 75, and allowing for a little bit of meat on the end here to go across. So it's going to be like that. It's just going to be I'm actually going to cut it just in that truss bit there. So I've actually just gone, that is 75, but I've just gone a little bit more just to fall in line with that little bit there. And the reason why I've done that is because I don't want a half a girder. I want it full sort of triangles, otherwise it looks a little bit peculiar. So just put that on there. just making a mark at this point, and then I shall go through. Scalpel. My blade's not the sharpest, and I'll tell you something what will actually work a little bit better is my track trimmers. They are really good for this kind of thing. Actually, I might just do that. So these things here are very good for that. A friend introduced me to these, so I'm just gonna put that underneath there, line up with the hole, done. On the hole, done. And then I can smooth it off. Actually, it's a nice clean cut. It's nice. So then I just marry that up. So you do, once you've done one, you do another one. Now you can either do it uniform, like I've got there. You can see the triangles actually marry up both sides. So you can see that. I might actually stagger this a little bit, so I might make this a little bit different, so you get a bit of a lattice work. So opposed to where it'd be straight like that, I'm going to stagger it so you get a different look. I think that might be quite good fun. So just make sure I've got marked the right way, and I'm going to go that one to there and put that one on there. So I'm now going to straighten this one off. That whizzing noise you can hear is the fan because it is still quite warm. There we go. So that's that bit. I'm going to trim this one down, and then I shall, so let's just mark that to there. And the same on this one. This one's going to be a half girder because I've created an unusual pattern now. Just snip that there, go on top. In the day, you try and make it as neat as you can because you want it. Oh, good catch, Gary. So that's our little gird bits. So that's what we've created. This will be the top section here. So now I haven't got any Platicard strength that size, so I think we'll make some up. Now what we'll do, so now we've got that bit, we'll use the bottom bit to go underneath. So this will make the bottom bit there. So again, I'm just going to sit that on it. I'm going to put that inside it. So I'm now putting this trussing inside. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to cut that again. So I'm actually making a 3 to encase it. Put that to there, mark there, and a little mark on that one there. And then just chop that through. Chop that through there. If you get the flat side, you get a nice clean cut. If you do it the beveled side, you'll get like teeth marks from the pliers, these little clippers. So just be aware of that. So we've got 3 sections. Let's move that out of the way. So we're going to do like that, like that. And at this point, we'll glue them down, and then we'll do the next stage. So I'm going to glue them. Now I'm going to use my special deluxe materials glue. See how this works. I've not used it on this stuff, but I'm sure it will bond really well. Just line it up to where I want. So I'm going to put a bit of glue, just checking all the bits that I want. It's going to look, just line it all up, have a little look. That's okay. It's going to give me something like that. I could change it around, but that'd be fine. I'm happy with that. So I'm going to put a bit of this on there, a nice dollop on there, and this bonds really quickly. So just literally hold it on, just give it a little wiggle, and that will be set. No, it won't be set. That's interesting. Let's try it underneath. Oh, there you go. See, there you go. And that's bonded. That's good. That's very strong, so that's good. Just enough to squeeze it into a shape. and then we turn it around that way, go measure up, go that way round, put that this way this time, put plenty on, that will just nip that in. And hold that in shape, excuse my fingers. Not sure this one's bonding very well. That's what I did. Here we go, start to go. Just have to be patient, and that's it, it's now going. Just going to drop a little bit on there. And there, that's it, just to speed it up. Put the lid on that. And now we have straight away our little girder section. That was nice and quick, and that is the start of our gantry. Now I'm going to use a round pole on this one, so something completely different. So it'll be completely different, this one. So again, I only want it. Now you could make it a lot longer than this. If you make it longer, you could poke this through your baseboard. What I tend to do is make it the height I need it, and I put some metal rails up inside through the baseboard, so that pokes through the baseboard like that, and then these slide on, and then that holds the signal in place, so I can get it off nice and easy with all the wiring. So that's what I tend to do. I just tend to have that pole sticking up, where it be metal or a couple of loose rails I don't use, and then that will then go on, and you can just put a bit of glue on there, or you tend to find once you get that in and you've wired it up, it will sit naturally because the wires will push it into its right place. Right then, so let's cut a pole. Again, I'm going to do 75mm. I'm going to cut this with a scalpel this time. I think I'm due for some new blades. Here we go, it's going now. Just mind your fingers. Again, if you can't do this, get someone to help you. Just mind your fingers, put your blade out of the way. And the reason why I've used a tube like that is so I can feed the wires through. So that's going to sit something like that. It's my mini signal, this one. I might actually just put one signal on this one. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to need some Platicard. So I'm going to get some Platicard. I think I've got some. Bear with me a second. Right, so I've got some spare Platicard. These are just offcuts. I always keep little tiny bits, and these are great to do what I need it to do. So we've got our section there, which is obviously our gantry walkway, and we now need to add the bottom bit, which will be that bit, and then just need to add some little sidings. One side I'm going to leave open, but this side I'm just going to box in. So I'm going to create a little bit to go in the middle, and what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to slice one of these end sections off. I'm just going to glue that on. So mark it with this knife and mark it there. Trim that through. Use our cutters again for this. Nice and square. And through there. It gives us a little bit. It might be a little bit short, but I can make it fit, so it's not a problem. So that's going to be our end cap in a sense. Now I'm just choosing an end that I want to keep. So I shall lose that one there. So that will go on there, that's good. So it'll go that way, or would it go that way? Might be better on that way. That's the way it's going to go. Let's try it upside down. Right, so I need to cut a little bit off the inside of there. So again, just use these pliers. It gets really quick, speed up and get them bits off. So I've just trimmed a little bit off the edge there. Just flatten that out with a bit of sandpaper. So that will now fit nicely on there. Yep, that will lip over there. That's perfect. So get our plastic magic. And I just love this stuff. Little dab on there. So we'll start with the top bit, and then I'll bring that down. Just push that into shape. Any little imperfections I can use a putty to fill the gaps or anything if I wanted to, so I don't worry about it looking too bad at this stage, just trying to get it into shape. There we go, a bit of this at the bottom. Just hold that in place if I push it that way. There we go, I'm going to trim that little bit off there. That'll do for the moment. I can fill that little bit in with a bit of Platicard, but I'll do that later, I won't do it now. So that gives us our basic shape of what we want. Stops anybody falling out the end. You've got a walkway. Now we need to add that to there. So we'll put that into place, which is there. And it's all a case of gluing. Now I should probably quickly tack it with this and then use another glue to hold it fast, just to make it more permanent. This is good, it melts the plastic enough for me to get it into shape nice and straight, so that's what I shall do next. Just get it nice and square. I'm going to use these little grids on this mat because it's got nice squares. Just hold it like that. And already that's set. Give us our little L shape. So that's how quick we're making this. It's really speeding along. I'm just going to put a bit more of this down this side. Just really want that to hold well. And what this does is it's a very low odour. I actually can't smell it, and it melts the plastic to the right consistency to bond on itself. So it's really good, and it will not stick to your fingers. So it's great stuff. And you've got a whole jar of it. Absolutely brilliant. There we go. So that's now our little gantry. So that really needs spraying up from that this point onwards, and just needs to be set a bit more. Just let it set. So you can spray it now if you wanted to. I'm going to add a couple of extra bits to it before I do that. But I would normally spray it at this point, as I've done this one, and then I will add all the electrics. Now I need to just support that. It's not quite holding. That's better. So I'm just going to let that set for 5 minutes because I really don't want it to move, and then I will come back. Right, so we've now got this, let's move it out of the way, give us a bit of space. Now, so we've now got our gantry nice and dry. So we need to make a little foot to hold our light. Now, as I said to you, you can use these Econ lights. These are spare ones I've got from the Signal, and they have a nice little tiny bit underneath there that would sit quite nicely under there, and that creates a nice little platform for your signals. I'm not actually going to use these ones. I was thinking about using them. I'm actually going to use a different one. I don't know whether I could use that on these. Let's see if that fits. No, that would. So I'm going to use these dwarf lights that I bought on eBay. These little tiny ones. So I've had to make this little tiny shelf for it to sit on. So all I've done is cut out a little platform the size of this little base here. You can see a little base just here. So I'm now going to cut a hole so I can feed that through. So I've just marked it out and just create a hole. This is for the wires to poke through, nothing else. There we go. Covered in dust. Right, so put that through first. That's nice. So the resistor goes through. So that's our negative. I think that's actually the positive on these ones, and these are the negative on these little ones, whereas the Econ ones are positive and minus, plus and minus I should say. So that is there. Let's just put a bit of glue on there. Now these are made of metal, so I'm going to have to use a different glue to stick that to it, and then I'm going to, so I'll stick the plate to the Signal. Again, I need to work out where the Signal is going to see. Sorry, where the Signal is going to be. So it's going to be about in the middle there. Just measure it up. Just a pencil mark and turn it upside down. You put a touch of glue, a bit of the liquid on there, and then I'm actually going to take that to that side and hold it with that, just hold it into place. That should hold, just keep it nice and square, and you want to be able to get the wire out of that hole. So, and realistically that's where your Signal will sit, and then we'll fold that up and run that down the trunking down into the tube. So that's the idea on that one. Right then, so I think we'll spray it over and then add that in and wire it up. So let's give it a little blast. Now I'm going to use some Halfords spray, car spray on this. Can get that out. There we go. So there's our little bit that will hold the Signal. Just check that. That's good. It's not going to catch the train. All is good. So just keep measuring stuff. So I'm going to spray it over, and then I'll come back. I won't show you me spraying it because it's just normal. So I've just given it a spray over. This is just a Platicard primer. This was actually what I used on my wagons, the little creamy coloured wagons. So I've got just spare sprays. Haven't done this bit because I shall do black on there, but I'll do that last of all, or a brown colour. I'm doing this a little bit differently. So while that's drying, I now need to make a little grid plate to go in there so you can walk on. So what I'm going to do is put this to one side, and I'll put that there. Put that on top of that, that'll hold that down. Just let that dry. Perfect. So for our mesh plate, I use this meshing from a Car Auto Factors, and it comes on a great big reel. You can get it from Model Supplies. It comes like this from a Model Supply, but again, Auto Factors is exactly the same stuff for fiberglassing. So I'm going to cut a strip out. I'm going to measure, because it's the same as this one, I'm going to measure what we need, and then we'll cut it out. So it's going to be 10mm. So just going to give a, I think I've actually got 10mm in there. Now it doesn't cut very well at smaller quantities, so we just have to be careful with this. I might actually do this with the scissors. I know I do it with a scalpel. We can do that. We can do that. Right, this stuff gets very sharp when it's cut, so just be very, very careful. Again, if you're struggling to do this, do it that way so you can see what I'm doing. Get someone to help you. And, oh, just try and keep it to be separated. And I'm just going to gently manipulate it into the crease, and you'll find that that will just break off nicely backwards and forwards, and you don't get any sharp funny edges. There you go. So that is now our walkway, which again that would fit quite nicely into there. See? So that's what will happen. I will probably leave this silver because I think it looks quite cool. Normally I'll spray them over. So let's take that one out. We're now going to cut this to size. I need to measure, that's going to be 75. Take that to there. And I need to take it just 5mm shorter because I'm going to run the wires through it. So I'll just put that like that. Nice. And that is our tread plate. Now we take our little dwarf light and we feed it through. Sometimes I'll run a little plate underneath, like a tube, to run the wires in. Bring that through there. And then drop our cables down through the main body of the tube, like that. Trying to get all of them. One's trying to get away. They always do that. And then there you have your signal and your gantry. So from here onwards, I shall give it a spray here. I shall glue that down, and I'll show you the overall effect of what our signal looks like. I've cut a little tiny tubely bit here, and I'm going to stick that underneath to hide all the wires. Before I glue that in, I'm going to put all the wires into it first. And I'm going to paint this probably black afterwards, so it'll be well disguised. That's the whole idea. Use a bit of the use a bit of this glue. I'm going to put on there, just across the beams, and then that will hide the wires. That's the theory. I'll put that through this end. So just poke that through there. Obviously I would let this dry for about a good few days. I'm trying to sort of speed the process up. And the dog's barking, always barking. Right, I don't want to get that mat dirty, so I can put it on there. And then feed that to there. So I'm just going to hold that, let that dry. So it's been 24 hours since we started our little gantry, and I was going to spray it this grey colour, so I've done like a coating in it, but I'm now actually going to theme it up to actually match it with the rest of the layout. So I changed my mind on colour on this one because obviously I don't want it to look too odd. So what I have done, I've actually fed the wires down underneath there into this little tube. If I show you with my pencil, so I've fed the little wires through there, down through this tube, and they just tuck underneath there and then go through down into that tube there, as you can see it go down. And I've just twisted them over so I can get them, but I'll just sort of keep them out of the way while I spray it. That's what I've done at the moment, and I've just covered the actual head of the signal just so I don't get any spray in there, and I probably will repaint that black because it's too shiny, so a little bit of matte on there will pick that out as well. But for now, I'm just covering it over. So I'm going to give this a blast, and then I shall mask it out, and then do this section here in a grey. We're going to sort of achieve this kind of effect. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to respray it. I'm not going to show you respraying it because I think you guys know how to spray. They're only going to be done with spray cans from a car manufacturer, and I'm going to use primers for this particular gantry. Right then, let's go down and spray this up. Right, so we've now resprayed it. It's a little bit wet still. As you can see, I've done this grey and this the brownie colour, which is a bumper brown, which is bumper grey actually they call it, but it is like a brown colour, and it's really good. It comes out really nice in like a light brown dusty effect. I still got the cover over the lights because I'm going to actually pick them out with some black paint and matte colour to sort of tone them in. So all we've got to do now is let this dry. I'll just touch this up, and then once that's dry I shall pull this off, and then I shall show you myself painting the little black bit around there, and I shall just quickly add this, and then we'll put some power to it and see it light up and see what it looks like. Right, so I'm just going to paint out the signal, just give it a little tiny touch, just to take the shine off that black metal casting without getting it all everywhere. So again, I'm just adding the dry brushing around all the little sort of crevices of the ironwork, just to sort of like dust has got in there. Again, I'm not going too mad, just little bits. And say this is a great way to see a little white dot there. Just blemish it over and do a little bit of, just cover that over like that. Start brushing. It's not much going on there, and that's what you want. You just want little tiny bits to, just going to splatter that on the sides. I could use an airbrush, but just trying to do a simple, easy to peasy effect really. Too much paint, drop it off, and then brush that off again, just dragging it under. There we go. Again, look at pictures, get ideas of what you're aiming to achieve. I'm going to leave that there actually. So realistically, that is our little signal gantry. Again, this was just used with Platicard like this, and these little tubing. The tubing, I'll measure these for you. So the tubing that I used underneath was it's a 4mm, so that was 4mm underneath there. So that's 4mm tubing. The tubing going down, this was actually 9.5mm, nearly 1 centimetre, so 9.5mm. That's this one. Okay, sorry, that's this one. So that's 9.5mm. That's 4mm, and then this here, this bit of girder, it's actually 13mm across. So it's 13mm across there, and that is the same 3 components and a bit on the end. I need to repair that bit. I think I shall visit that at another point. I won't actually do that today, but I'm quite happy the way that's looking. So that's that. All I need to do is add a ladder to it, and I think we're pretty good to go on that. Let's put some light on it, and I shall stand it on the layout, see what that looks like. Oh, one other thing, we haven't added our little steps. Now I normally spray these over. I'm not sure whether to spray them over or leave them. I might do this one. I'm going to spray this black and I'm going to put that in the middle. So just bear with me a second. So I've changed the camera angle on this one just to show you. I'm actually going to stick this little tiny bit here. This is our little tread plate, and again this is the mesh that you get from Halfords for fiberglassing. I've just cut a strip that length, and I've just thrown the glue at me, so bashed my leg. So this is the black tread plate that we're going to use, and this is the fiberglass meshing that it's cut from. Just pulled that off of there. So I'm now going to glue that onto there. So I'm just going to put a tiny drop of glue. You don't need much on this. Now this is a gel glue, and it will create a little tiny, sort of fills the gaps a little tiny bit. So I'm just putting that in there. And then before that dries, just going to pick that up, try not to damage it. Let me slide that into there, and that is pretty much it really. All I need to do is add a little ladder, and we're good to go. So now you can see our you can see there that we've got the little tread plate in, and now that looks really cool, and really happy the way that's turned out. You can see the grey, the browny colour, and then that little black just picked out on the signal, and then we put the tread plate, which is just there. You can see it. See, there you go. Right, so all we need to do is put a bit of power to it and just see it working. So bear with me a second. So I put it onto there. So what I'll do is I'll hold that on the battery and hold the resistor on the other side. Still bit fingers and thumbs. Of course I will wire this into layout, and there you go, there's our green signal. And I shall put probably a reed switch to this one, so as the train goes under it can manually change it over via the reed, and that's the red. So there you go, that is our little signal gantry, and I hope you found this very helpful for you guys. You can see the weathering on there, and yeah, it certainly looks really good. This will go onto the layout. So there you go, it's all finished. That is our gantry, and I need to put a little ladder on there, and I need to fix it to the layout, so I should need to work out where it's going to go. Normally I get a little sleeper, a little bit of rail like that, and I'll embed that into the track, and then I shall just pop that on top of there, probably something like that, and then that will hold it. And if you're having problems with it locating, just put another little tiny tube inside, a bit of glue, and then you'll find that will slide nicely on top of it, and it'll be a nice location pin for it. By doing that and lifting off, you can have these little wires on a chop block, and then you can just attach them and easily lift it off to get to everything. So it's a real good idea to lift these off sometimes, because it's easier to clean the track and things like that. So all these lift off. So that is really it. That is our little signal gantry. I hope this video helps you guys. A lot of you guys have been asking me how to make them, and I hope this actually answers them questions. If you have any problems and still can't work it out, please do send me a message, and I'll refer back to this video or help you however I can. But I'm sure this will help you by far to build your own signals and save you a lot of money. So all that's left for me to do is to locate this round on the layout, which you'll have to find next time you watch one of my videos, and you'll see this in action, given its red and greens to control the traffic. So till next time, take care, and happy modelling, and I'll see you all soon. Cheerio.